Is the thing on? Hi, YFC Belgium. This is Kuya Vince, and I'm here to give you a sharing on God's love. So I'd like to thank Bella for asking me to do this. And I just want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to share with you how God has shown me His undying and extravagant love for me every single day of my life so far. So I grew up in the great state of Texas, which is in the United States. And it's the home of cowboys and really big guns and big pickup trucks. And I grew up in a Catholic household, and my parents made me go to church every Sunday, and I lived a pretty normal Catholic life. My parents weren't in CFC, and so I wasn't really in CFC, I wasn't really in YFC, I wasn't really that much into my faith exactly, but things started to change when I got older. So I grew up like any normal teenager, and I had crushes and I had girlfriends a lot later in life because I was actually a pretty fat and chubby kid, if you can believe that. And it wasn't until I was like 17 or 18 that I started to lose weight and people began to notice me. And then I started kind of going crazy, I started partying a lot, I started drinking a lot, and I started getting involved in impure relationships. And when I turned 18, that's when I went completely off the deep end, and I started getting involved in a lot of bad things. I was out every night, I was partying on the weekends, going to nightclubs, and doing a lot of really bad things with the wrong crowd of people. And at the same time, I really began to feel very empty and hollow inside. And I was just beginning to kind of wonder, like, what is this life about, and why am I living this life? And why, despite me getting high and being drunk, why am I still not happy? And all the relationships I was in, all these impure relationships with these women, they weren't making me happy. So I was just kind of like, well, what is going to make me happy? Because I felt really empty. And it kind of began to drive me crazy. And I would think about it at night, like, why am I here? And I didn't know at the time, but that was the beginning of my prayer life. Even though I wasn't really going to church anymore, and I wasn't really into the faith, it was the beginning of God beginning to love me and to call me back to Him. And so everything changed when I turned 19 years old. It was in the year 2000 in November, and it was a very memorable weekend for me because that was a weekend where I really felt the love of God in my life. So on that weekend, it was in November, year 2000, in this small town in Texas, I was invited to go on a youth camp. And I remember when I first stepped into the youth camp, because people were raising their hands in the air and they were singing all these songs that I didn't know the words to. I think like during that time they were singing, "Lord, I lift your name on high," and I was like, "Lord, I lift, you went from heaven to whatever." And so anyways, I was really out of place because I wasn't into, all of this different kind of stuff that I saw people doing. But I saw something that I knew I wanted. I saw that these people had joy in their hearts, and I saw that they were happy. And it was like, that's the kind of happiness that I want too. And whatever they want, I want it also. So it happened at one point of the camp when they did this kind of special thing. They basically turned off all the lights in the room, and it was a really big room. It was like the size of a hall, maybe like the size of the hall that was in Mol in Belgium. And the lights were off, and there were candles that were lit on the ground. And then they started doing this kind of passion play, and they were reenacting the crucifixion, the death and crucifixion of Jesus. And at one point, when they were beating Jesus and they were about to put him on the cross, I began to see myself in the soldiers that were beating him. And I realized that all the things that I was doing wrong in my life, all the drinking and partying and impure relationships and drugs, that was me beating Jesus down. And all I could do was I just started crying, realizing how much of a sinner I was. And I just collapsed on the ground after the play was done, and all the lights went off. And they took Jesus' body away in the play, but then he came back into the room with one candle. And at that moment I heard God speak to me saying, Vince, I know that you've lived a life that was far from me, but now it's time for you to give your life completely to me. And I said, yes, Lord. I don't know who you are, and I don't know anything about the faith and about your church, but I want to. And from this moment on, I give my life entirely to you. And that was the beginning of my new life in Christ. That was the beginning of me beginning to experience God's love for the first time. And from that moment on, God has taken me on the most amazing adventure of my entire life so far. So on my way back from the retreat when it was over, I remember driving home. I was filled with such joy because I knew that I finally found what I was looking for that would make me happy. I finally found the Lord, and I finally realized the life that I needed to live, and that was for God. So what began to change in my life was basically I started spending more time at home with my family. I was talking with my parents on a normal basis. I was going home every weekend when I wasn't at university. I was going to Mass every single day, and I was in front of the Blessed Sacrament in Eucharist every single day. And I just felt God's love just completely changing my life. And you know what happened? For 1 year, I basically spent, it was just me and the Lord. And all my friends basically were like, Vince is crazy. I mean, you can even ask them today, they'll still be like, whatever happened to this guy that we used to hang out with, Vince? But I remember talking to them when it first happened. I said, look, you guys, I'm sorry to say this, but we can't be friends anymore because the life that I know I'm supposed to live is different from the life that you guys are living. And they were like, man, you suck. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. So I basically lost all my friends, and I spent all my time in the church, but that's okay because God began sending people into my life. And I went to this really awesome university. It's called Franciscan University of Steubenville, and if you ever get a chance to check it out, you should. And it was there that I learned all about my faith, and I made new friends, and I graduated from there, and I began to do ministry all across the United States and all across the world. The Lord took me to pretty awesome places. He's brought me to Haiti. He's brought me to Barbados, the Caribbean. I even spent a year in the Philippines doing mission work there. And then finally, God gave me the opportunity to come to Austria to work for the university in Austria. Franciscan University has a campus in Austria. And so I said, yeah, all right, I'll take it. I'll see what happens. So I took the job out in Austria, and that's when I met the love of my life and my future wife. And it's also where I met the community, CFC, for the first time. And I realized that I found my home, and I realized that God's plans were bigger than anything I could ever imagine. I mean, who could imagine that I'm living here right now in Austria? I mean, I'm in Austria. Well, actually, I'm in my house, but you know, my house is in Austria. And so now, you know, living the life as a husband and a father, I experience the love of God every single day. I mean, most especially through my wife and through my children, but also in a very powerful way through serving the young people in YFC. I mean, the YFC here in Austria and in all across Europe, in Belgium too, in France, in Switzerland, Italy, UK, everywhere. You guys inspire me every time I meet you guys, because I see so much fire and passion for the Lord. And in a way, I'm jealous because I wish I had that same kind of knowledge of God and love of God when I was your age, because I didn't find Him until a lot later. And I'm just so honored and privileged to be able to be working with you guys in our mission, which is to save people's souls and help bring them to heaven. Because, I mean, I always tell the people in Austria, we're in the YFCs, I always tell them, we're in the business, and our business is the business of saving people's souls. And that's how God's love has impacted my life. And I'm just so grateful for that weekend where I experienced it for the first time. And I'm really happy, and I don't know what else to say except God is awesome. And I hope all of you guys can experience God's love in a powerful way as well. God bless you guys. I love you. And if you ever need anything, if there's anything I can do for you, if I can pray for you in any way, just let me know. I'm on Facebook, Snapchat, kind of, because I don't really know how to use it, and Instagram, or you can email me, or you can send me a letter or something. Anyways, I love you guys. God bless you. We're praying for you here in YFC Austria. Have a great camp, and I'll see you later.